Hey, it's Drybear. Today we've got even more Mythic Plus nerfs in the latest hotfix that came out just recently. So we're gonna go through the notes on that today, exactly what changed. There's 2 dungeons that got massively hit, and also some fixes that help out the explosive affix for the week. As always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hi. On to the hotfixes. There was a hotfix for Vault of the Incarnates. It fixed an issue for some of the ads along the way. The Quarry Stormbreakers were having an issue where their jump wouldn't match up with the actual damage location. Doesn't really matter all that much, but it is there. Mythic Plus, though, there was an fix for Algathar Academy. As if Overgrown Ancient wasn't hard enough as it is, the Hungry Lashers spawned explosive orbs. So you would get a significant amount of these, which either would wipe your group or would waste a bunch of globals on people trying to cleanse out the explosive orbs. So that has been fixed. Those won't spawn explosive orbs anymore. They'll just normally spawn off the boss. Azure Vault's got some pretty big nerfs here as well. Arcane Furies, which is the little golems inside the final rings that spit out that frontal that just own everyone. Most routes don't kill these. There's a couple that you can fight if you let the whelps wake them up, but they're the only time you'll face them is in the trash rings at the very end. The impact damage of their frontal has been reduced by 30%. This one was nasty. If there was ever a melee that got in front or the tank turned them around on accident, it could easily wipe your group on a high key, especially fortified. Unstable Curator's Forbidden Knowledge cooldown increased. This was the dance that you had to do with the giant, giant elemental. They would cast the heavy tome and then do that little dance thing. So on, again, fortified high keys, you'd go through several cycles of this, which would reduce damage, it would reduce healing, it just got kind of tedious. Arcane Construct health reduced by 25%. They were super tanky, and they also had that AoE where you had to run away and come back, which made it even more annoying. Crystal Thrasher no longer uses Splintering Shards. This is a big one. This should help a lot with some of the bigger pulls in clearing the dungeon. Null Magic Hornswogg health reduced by 15%. These are the toads, the frogs that jump around constantly, and they end up living a long time. It's hard for melee to be on them because as they're landing, you have to kind of stop DPS and let them land and then fight them. So their health coming down is a big help as well. Talash Greywing, health reduced by 10%. Super nice. Helps with tyrannical weeks a lot. Vault Rune reduces all damage taken by 60% instead of 50%. Again, another tyrannical adjustment that makes it so you won't just get absolutely wiped by this. There were times where you were just, the health reduction is mainly because when you are facing Greywing on high tyrannical keys, you can get to a point where you exhaust all 3 Vault Runes and then the whole platform's covered in frost. So I think partially because it was hard to kill her, and mainly because there's obviously a built-in soft enrage where if you end up covering the whole platform in ice and you don't kill it fast enough based on the 3 Vault Runes, which can only be used once, it's a wipe. You can't kill it. So for tyrannical weeks, the health reduction is nice, and the Vault Runes reducing more damage is also very nice. Umbral Skull, which is the boss at the very end, very damaging, very troublesome to get through. Health reduced by 15%. You would get to a point where there'd just be too many orbs up floating around, and you wouldn't be able to deal with them, and eventually it would get too troublesome. So this is mostly just to help with his AV getting cleared on high keys. And then the slow stack up effect you get for moving when you move during this fight has lost 1% of its movement speed reduction per stack. So it should be a little bit easier to get away. Some classes can, like druids can shapeshift, and DKs can march, but you don't really have much to deal with it. For some other classes that can't get away from the orbs, then you just die. Ruby Life Pools, in another round of getting nerfed, reduce the damage of the Primalist Cinder Weaver's Cinder Bolt by 50%. This one is for Fort and Raging. You just end up getting some crazy single target damage off the Cinder Bolt, so that coming down by half is actually nuts. Reduce the periodic damage of Thunderhead's Rolling Thunder by 30%. This is the lightning proto-drake that you face. Reduce the damage of Flame Gullet's Molten Blood by 25%. A lot of passive damage that you take that makes your healer cry many tears. Reduce the periodic damage of Blazebound Destroyer's Inferno. So this is like the big AoE that the giant fire elementals do. 25% off that one. Then they made This one, I actually didn't get to see it before they hotfixed it, but I kind of wish I did, because just like the Algathar Overgrown Ancient fight, the whelps that spawn in the first boss for Meladrusa in Ruby Life Pools, those whelps could spawn explosive orbs. So again, you just get this big swath of explosive orbs spawning everywhere, and it would just be a nightmare to deal with. The second boss, Blaze Hoof, increased the cast time of Firestorm's Roaring Blaze to 3 seconds, which is really nice. This gives you a little bit more time to dodge and position properly. We like that a lot. This can one-shot people super hard. Hiraka and Urquhart Stormbane reduce the periodic damage of the dragon's Inferno Core by 20%. Reduce the damage of Urquhart Stormbane's Interrupting Cloudburst by 30%. So in another round of just Ruby Life Pools being absolutely ridiculous, they look at how many nerfs they're getting again. This is the middle of the M+ season, by the way. I think they kind of just kept getting more data that it was just a problem dungeon, and hopefully, you know, the healer tiers that have been falling out, trying to get through the high keys like 20+ on Ruby Life Pools, can be gathered and recycled for something else. So the big Interrupting Cloudburst does less damage, and the periodic damage does less as well. And lastly, Lunar Festival now starts on 124 to allow for new elders to search out on the Dragon Isles. So maybe they just needed to wait until next week so they get more in the content update. They couldn't make it into the content update, so it got delayed so they can make whatever content they need in that patch. But there you go. Big nerfs for AV and Ruby Life Pools. Much appreciated. These two dungeons were pretty rough, and then some fixes for explosive orbs. That's what we got for today. Hopefully we keep seeing more, you know, in tune updates like this as we go along. But we've been getting tons of hot fixes. Hope there are more to come. If there's anything that you missed or hope it was in this, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you have any questions or comments for me, you'll find me live every day on twitch.tv/Drybear. Come by and say hi. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.